Over 125 publicly traded companies own over 721,000 Bitcoin. We can see the adoption curve steepening so fast. Just 72 of the top companies own over 3.5% of the total supply. So we have these two technologies creating this flywheel effect. Each turn of this flywheel gets faster and faster and faster, okay? This is economic escape velocity. This is where our opportunity lies. Now we can see the playbook, Microstrategy, change the strategy so they can push the strategy to the world, and the playbook is now going global. I've spent decades studying political cycles and financial cycles and technological cycles. About every 50 years, humanity experiences this quantum leap, where it rewrites the rules of business, power, and money. The fact is that most companies will be gone in 5 years. And the reason isn't because they lack capital or they lack talent. They're playing by a set of rules. All right, thanks so much, Isabella. She is so awesome. Everyone could learn something from her. She came out to a Bitcoin conference in 2021 with just blind luck and ambition and started talking to people on the sidewalk. And here she is today, emceeing this stage. We can all learn something from that. But we're talking about something different today. We're talking about something so big and so profound that most people are going to be completely caught off guard by it. And the fact is that most companies represented in this room today and in the world today will be gone in 5 years. Will be completely obsolete. And the reason isn't because they lack capital or they lack talent. The reason is because they're playing by a set of rules that are being rewritten right now, right in front of us. And most people don't understand this. Because we're living through the sixth technological revolution that we've had in just the last 300 years. Now, the companies that understand this, and we'll talk about them, are able to jump on this and benefit from this while everybody else is going to be wiped out. Now, I'm calling this the sixth technological revolution. We see this pattern repeating for the last 300 years. About every 50 years, humanity experiences this quantum leap, where it rewrites the rules of business and power and money. I've spent decades studying political cycles and financial cycles and technological cycles. And we can see them going from the Industrial Revolution in 1771, where we had the first mechanized machines. We had steam engines. We had railways, electricity, steel, automobiles, oil fuels. We had microprocessors, personal computers, the internet. And each one of these cycles takes the world forward in a forward leap. But it also changes the entire economic environment and world that we know. Now, we're fully in the sixth wave right now. And to really understand what these waves are, you have to understand it's not just one single technology. It's always a cluster of technologies. It's multiple technologies coming together that give us new sets of building blocks to build things that we don't even know or understand. Today, we have two very powerful technologies. We have AI, which is completely eliminating the cost of human capital. At the same time, on the other side, we have Bitcoin, which eliminates human-controlled money. Now, both of these are working together. They're feeding off of each other. Smart companies are buying the only asset that AI can't create. And what we're seeing is a collision between infinite efficiency, when human capital costs go down to zero, meeting absolute scarcity. And most companies have no idea what's about to hit them, because most of them don't understand the data they should be looking at. Wall Street doesn't show it to you. Bloomberg's not going to report it to you. Today we have over 125 publicly traded companies that own over 721,000 Bitcoin. 3.5% of the total supply. Now, these companies aren't just holding, they're buying as aggressively as they can. They're stacking so fast, and the analysts can't even track what the fair value of these companies are. Smart companies are tracking a different set of metrics, like premium compression velocity, MNAV, days to cover the MNAV, while traditional business owners or investors are still looking at DCF models. It doesn't make any sense. The current reality of the situation that we're in right now is that as AI is collapsing the cost of labor, our governments are continuing to collapse the value of our currency, of our money. And at the same time, we have Bitcoin now being introduced into these companies, and it's completely destroying all the Wall Street valuations. Most people don't know how to make sense of this anymore. And we either have to master these technologies right now or get built over by companies that do. But we're going to change that right now. All right, what we're witnessing is a great valuation reset. While most people don't understand these companies because they're trying to understand PE ratios, they're trying to understand DCF, they're trying to understand ROE. These are old metrics. These are yesterday's metrics. The new survival metrics are AI revenue per employee or Bitcoin per share of the company. Premium compression velocity. We're going to break some of these down. These are the new KPIs if you want to learn how to invest in this world and build businesses in this world. And the sad fact is, right now today, we're full of zombie companies. Zombie companies, they're dead men walking. Yeah, they're still alive, but they're dead. 40% of the companies listed in the Russell 2000 index are zombie companies. That means they can't afford to cover the debt service that they have. That's what that means. They can't even survive on the cheap money that we're getting today. But as these new AI companies start to get more efficient, these companies are only going to be exaggerated. Every inefficient company will be overvalued overnight. Darwinian selection. Mark Anderson, he gave us this massive warning. He said that all incumbents, not a couple companies, every single one of them is going to be facing obsolescence because everything will be rebuilt. It's all being rebuilt right now. And this isn't an upgrade, it's a complete reset of the system. Okay, I gotta go through this pretty quickly here. So we have traditional companies versus digital native companies. This is what it looks like. A traditional company, and we're talking about like a SaaS company, a software company, which has a very low cost of capital, not a brick and mortar factory. They have about $100 million of revenue. They have 500 employees, and they make about $200,000 per employee. That's a really high amount. But an AI native competitor can do the same amount of revenue, $100 million in revenue, with only 50 employees, which is $2 million per employee. It's a 75% profit margin. Okay, this is the reality of the world that we're facing right now. But this is only one half of the equation. We're not here to talk about AI, we're at a Bitcoin conference. But we have to understand that there's two technologies that are converging. So AI is creating this operational transformation. Companies are achieving this amazing, impossible efficiency ratio, and it's making traditional valuations obsolete. But the second half of the technological revolution is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is allowing us to turn these margins, these big margins, into exponential equity valuations. We're using public markets in ways that were previously unimagined. So what we're witnessing in this technological revolution is a new financial asset, the first new financial asset we've had in over 300 years. We've had gold. Gold is big, it's slow, it's clunky. It provides final settlement, but it's not easy to transfer. It can't settle 24/7. We had land. Land is productive. It's great. It grows our food, but it's very slow to transfer, very high transactional costs. Of course, you can't move it. The latest financial tool that we've had was equity shares in 1602. But again, that's not programmable. There are jurisdictions to spend it. There's counterparty risk for the company that issued those things. But 16 years ago, something changed. We got the new financial asset. And we try to understand what it is, and we try to compare it to other things, but it's something new that we don't understand. It's programmable, instantly movable, globally verifiable, trades 24/7, and it allows us to do things that we couldn't before. It's a new financial primitive. And it's what happens when AI, again, infinite abundance, meets absolute scarcity like a collision course. All right, let's look at a couple case studies. One you're very familiar with. We're talking about Michael Saylor's company, previously Microstrategy, now named Strategy. We can see that they were able to take a profitable software business that was failing. He's talked about how he tore it down and rebuilt it over and over and over. and he's brilliant. And even he couldn't compete in today's environment until he decided to tap into the public debt and equity markets and start leveraging a Bitcoin balance sheet. He was able to raise $8.2 billion at a cost of almost zero, 0.8%, getting over almost 600,000 Bitcoin, or about almost 3% of the total Bitcoin supply, the total Bitcoin that will ever be created. His company now trades at a 2.5 times equity multiplication. It's not just financial engineering. This is a balance sheet evolution. This is how the new companies will compete. And so now there's a whole new set of metrics that Wall Street doesn't understand, but they can't ignore them. And if you're an investor in today's market, you need to understand these things right now. This is the greatest opportunity that we've had, obviously, with Bitcoin and these Bitcoin treasury companies. And so the metrics of the old companies no longer apply. It's not PE ratios or discounted cash flows. Instead, now it's Bitcoin per share. For one share of stock, how much Bitcoin do I get? Because for us, one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin, right? So what is the Bitcoin per share? The MNAV is the market cap of the company divided by the Bitcoin they have. Now, some traded at 2 times like MicroStrategy. Metaplanet's at a 6.8 times. Why is that? Well, we want to look at the days to cover. How long will it take them to acquire a new Bitcoin, the Bitcoin yield, in order for them to cover the market NAV, the MNAV? We need to understand the premium compression velocity. That's how quickly they can compress that premium. It's a whole new set of metrics, and if you don't understand these, then you won't be able to succeed in this new world. This is where Wall Street's being left behind, and this is where our opportunity lies. Now we can see the playbook, the strategy playbook. Microstrategy changed the strategy so they can push the strategy to the world, and the playbook is now going global. We can see these companies all over the world. Japan has Metaplanet. They've introduced their 555 million plan to deploy 5.4 billion into Bitcoin. We have in Europe the blockchain group. Alexander was up here on stage yesterday issuing Bitcoin-backed bonds. In Korea, we have BitMax. In Canada, we have Matador, a company I work with. In India, we have Hodl Systems. And the beauty of this, that's allowing this transition to happen so fast, is because the infrastructure is already here. The failing infrastructure, the $300 trillion bond market that's failing with capital stuck looking for a new home. $200 trillion in equities stuck in an old model looking for a way to get out. These markets are already there. These companies just have to pop in a straw and just start siphoning off from this. The infrastructure is already there. And this is why we can see the adoption curve steepening so fast. Again, just 72 of the top companies own over 3.5% of the total supply. So the incentives for smaller players are that they move the fastest. We're still in a place where I like to say the future is not evenly distributed. And so for those of us that know this massive arbitrage opportunity is there for us right now, the first mover advantage. But it's closing fast. Okay, so we have these 2 technologies creating this flywheel effect. AI increases business operational efficiency, increasing profit margins so we make more money. In this fiat system that we're in, right, our money is worth less and less. And the only way for us as business owners or investors to compete against this is to become more efficient than the government steals that from us, number 1. Then we take those huge margins and we put them into Bitcoin, and then we tap into the fiat system of public debt markets and equity markets in order to accumulate Bitcoin at a rapid scale. Then each turn of this flywheel gets faster and faster and faster, okay? This is economic escape velocity. Now, if we look at this, when we look at combining these new technologies to all new companies that we own, that we work for, or that we invest in, we can now start to see the difference. So now let's go back to the same traditional SaaS software company. Again, these are already extremely efficient businesses. Doing $100 million in revenue, 500 employees, making a 20% profit margin means they have $50 million in cash. What do they do with it? All the businesses that are out there today. Oh, they park it in treasuries, 5%. $20 million of profit, or $50 million of profit plus the 5% treasuries, they made $22.5 million. We take a more efficient business, The same revenue, but with 50 employees and 85% profit margin, $200 million, but now into Bitcoin. And we're only looking at a 40% yield. Bitcoin's averaging a 50% yield right now, but at a 40% yield, that's an $80 million appreciation or $165 million, 7 times the profit. These are the types of companies we want to build, we want to invest into. Okay, let's look at another case study, Metaplanet. Metaplanet's the darling out there. We can see what they've done here. A year ago, in May 2024, they had 117 Bitcoin. By tapping into this playbook of the public debt markets, the public equity markets, they've been able to go from 117 Bitcoin to now 10,000 Bitcoin, which is amazing. That means they have a daily Bitcoin yield of 1.5%. They're adding 1.5% of the Bitcoin to their company on a daily basis. They traded a big premium to Microstrategy, a 6.8 times MNAV. The reason they're able to trade at that premium is because they can cover that in 168 days because of the yield. They have structured buys that are going in. This is the math that you have to understand if you want to do this. Now, if you want to copy this playbook for your own business, a business that you work for, this is how we do it. Step number 1, we need to do an AI audit of our business. So what are we doing in our business? How do we acquire customers? What's our acquisition engine? How do we fulfill our product, our fulfillment engine? And then we need to map out all the processes, create SOPs. Then we can start to identify all the areas that we can increase AI efficiency. We can create AI automated systems. We could use Claude to automatically make like NAN automations for us, or we can hire someone to do that for us. First, we have to do an audit. That's step number 1. If we can reduce our cost of operational efficiency by 50%, then we have that extra income. Step number 2, we need to make a Bitcoin treasury policy. So we need to decide that instead of holding cash that's losing about 10% of its purchasing power per year, we want to put some of that or all of that into Bitcoin. We want to commit to that. Now, this signals to the market that we're serious, that we're here to play. Step number 3, we need to decide a capital structure. We want to be able to tap into debt markets and equity markets. Now, if you're a small business, you still have debt markets to tap into. There's all types of debt programs for businesses, credit lines, credit cards, business loans that we can tap into these debt markets and these equity markets and access that capital when the opportunity provides. Then we need systematic accumulation. This is dollar cost averaging, all right? This is buying on a regular basis. We don't want to buy it all at once. We want to maintain that consistent Bitcoin yield, the market premium. Step number 5, we want to measure and communicate. We want to understand what is our own company's metrics. How much is the business worth? How much Bitcoin do we hold? What is our accumulation plan? What is our yield? The companies that follow this playbook, they're not just surviving the reset. These are the ones that are using the reset to acquire the future. It's a new benchmark. It's a whole new world. Business that we know will never be the same. And you either innovate with one of these businesses, you work for one of these businesses, you invest in one of these businesses, or you get left behind. Within 24 months, this is going to be how institutional investors measure every single growth company. The company value will be decided by the AI revenue per employee times the Bitcoin share. How much Bitcoin do they have based off of the price of the company? Times the market confidence. How confident is the market in this company's ability to continue to innovate with efficiency and accumulate Bitcoin? Companies that can achieve a $2 million revenue per employee and they can grow their Bitcoin share by 1% daily will trade at huge premiums to every other company. The choice that every CEO faces, the choice that every one of you as an investor, as an employee, or as a business founder face is, number 1, just keep running by the old metrics. Even though we see this new world being built, we can hire more people, we can hold more cash, we can continue to compete on traditional metrics. We can watch AI and Bitcoin companies pass us by, or path number 2, we can become more efficient using AI. We can use Bitcoin to increase our valuation. And of course, the companies that choose path number 2 in the next 18 months will own the next economic cycle. So the choice is yours. If you want to download these slides and stats, you can get it for free right there by scanning that. But 423 years ago, Dutch merchants created the first tradable share certificate for wooden ships, to finance wooden ships. Today, most companies are still formed like that and still operate like that. But today, we have a choice to now go into digital ships, into a digital ocean, into a digital world. The choice is yours. Which side of history are you going to be on? Either build with the new tools or get built over them. That's what I got. Thanks so much.